From daring visionaries to the aircraft that shaped our world, Curtiss and Wright's machines have revolutionized flight. Experience the complete history of aviation's greatest pioneer. First up, pioneers and AEA. AEA Junebug, Scientific American trophy winner proving aviation was moving fast. Featured steerable wheels, massive leap forward for Glenn Curtiss and the team. Then AEA Silver Dart made the first controlled powered flight in Canada. Silver wings covered in silk and rubber truly marked the dawn of Canadian aviation. Curtiss Model D Pusher, one of the first aircraft in the world built in any quantity. Engine behind the pilot. Flying it felt like riding a bicycle in the sky. Now this is the Curtiss Model F, flying boat bringing aviation to the water. Incredibly sturdy, became a favorite for early naval training, proved the ocean could be a runway. Curtiss Model S, small scouting plane, very fast for its time, showed the world that speed and agility were the future of military flight. Curtiss Model T, a large experimental four-engined triplane, massive scale and ambition, pushing the boundaries of what was possible in early aviation. It was the first four-engined aircraft built in the United States. Then, Curtiss Autoplane, vision of the future that arrived way too early. Featured a car body and removable wings, one of the most famous flying car attempts. The next one, Curtiss Bleecker SX-51. Bizarre experimental helicopter looking like nothing else in the sky. Used propellers on the rotor blades themselves. Ambitious but failed vertical flight dream. Moving on to Wright Era. Wright Flyer 1, where the story of powered flight truly began. Stayed in the air for only 12 seconds. Those few seconds changed human history forever. The next one, Wright Model A. First aircraft offered for sale commercially. Carried 2 people and helped the Wright brothers demonstrate their genius to the world. Wright Model D. Built for the military, this was a fast scout, designed to get in and out of tight spots quickly for reconnaissance. Next, Wright Model F. Integrated the tail and elevators into a single unit. Much easier to handle than previous models, constantly refining their vision for safety. Wright Model G. Dedicated flying boat. Allowed pilots to take off from lakes and rivers, opened new possibilities for travel and exploration in remote areas. Wright Model H. Heavy lifter designed for endurance. Could stay in the air longer than most of its peers. Rugged workhorse of the early skies. Wright Model K. Floatplane built specifically for the Navy. Featured a single large float in the center. Proved water-based planes could be sleek and capable. Wright Model L. High-speed scout using a single engine and very streamlined fuselage. Fascinating glimpse into the future of fast military aircraft. Wright Model R. Small racer nicknamed the Baby Grand. Built for pure speed and competition, showed that flying could be a thrilling and dangerous sport. Wright Martin Model 5. Designed during a transition period for the company. Solid biplane aiming for reliability over flashiness. Bridge to a new manufacturing era. Let's move on to USAAC Pursuit. Curtiss PN-1. Night Scout. Early attempt at specialized combat roles. Unique layout to help the pilot see in the dark. Brave experiment in early naval aviation. Curtiss PW-8. Pursuit plane built for raw speed. Used for a record-breaking flight across the United States in a single day. True thoroughbred of the 20s. Curtiss P-6 Hawk. Pinnacle of the biplane fighter era. Featured a powerful engine and very sleek radiator design. Beautiful and deadly machine. Then, Curtiss XP-10. Experimental fighter using its own wings as radiators. Ingenious way to reduce drag. Unfortunately, the cooling system was too fragile for combat. Curtiss XP-31 Swift. Company's first monoplane fighter with a closed cockpit. Heavy and a bit clunky, served as vital learning experience for more famous designs. Then, Curtiss P-36 Mohawk. Sleek, all-metal fighter. Major export success. Fought on almost every front of World War II. Direct ancestor of the famous Warhawk. The next one, Curtiss P-40 Warhawk. Rugged fighter earning fame with the Flying Tigers in China. Could take massive damage and keep flying. Icon of American air power. Curtiss XP-46. Meant to replace the Warhawk with more speed and better armor. Ended up being slower than expected. Improving a classic is difficult. Curtiss XP-55 Ascender. Strange-looking plane with engine in the back and tail in the front. Looked like it was flying backward. bold attempt at radical aerodynamics. Curtiss XP-60, fighter going through many different engine and wing changes. Desperate attempt to stay competitive during the war, never found its footing. Curtiss XP-62, massive interceptor designed to carry a heavy load of cannons. One of the largest single-engine fighters ever built, simply too big for its own good. Curtiss XP-87 Black Hawk, large jet meant to be an all-weather interceptor. Featured 4 engines and a crew of 2. The last aircraft ever built by the famous company. Curtiss-Wright CW-21 Demon, lightweight interceptor could climb like a rocket. Built for export and saw intense Pacific combat, glass cannon favoring speed over protection. Moving on to USN Carrier Fighters. Curtiss F-6C Hawk, naval fighter adapted from the Army version. Could operate from the very first aircraft carriers, helped the Navy develop early air tactics. Curtiss F-7C Seahawk, dedicated shipboard fighter. Built to be tough enough for carrier landings, vital link in the evolution of naval aviation. Curtiss F-8C Helldiver, first plane specifically designed for dive bombing. Nicknamed the Helldiver for its steep attack profile, changed the way the Navy fought at sea. Now this is the Curtiss F-9C Sparrowhawk, tiny fighter designed to be launched and recovered by giant airships. Used a hook on top to catch a trapeze, unique and daring solution for long-range scouting. Curtiss F-11C Goshawk, biplane favorite of the United States Navy in the 30s. Fast and highly maneuverable, looked like the classic image of a pre-war fighter. Curtiss BFC Goshawk, modified fighter could carry a heavy bomb under its belly. Versatile machine that could fight or bomb, paved the way for multi-role aircraft today. Curtiss XF-15C, experimental craft using both piston engine and jet engine. Mixed power fighter designed for the transition to the jet age, incredibly fast but never reached production. Next on the list is attack and reconnaissance. Curtiss A3 Falcon, reliable observation and ground attack plane. Served the Army for years during the interwar period, known for stability and ease of flight. Curtiss A-12 Shrike, first monoplane attack aircraft for the Army. Featured slats on the wings to help it fly slowly for ground strafing. Looked modern and aggressive. Curtiss A-18 Shrike, twin-engine attack plane. Significant step up in power. Fast and could carry a heavy load of machine guns for ground support. Curtiss O-1 Falcon, standard observation plane for the United States Army for years. Steady and dependable biplane, did its job well without much fanfare. Next, Curtiss O-40 Raven, observation plane featuring retractable landing gear and very clean design. Meant to be a high-performance scout, sophisticated machine for the 30s. Curtiss O-52 Owl, heavy observation plane used during early World War II years. High-mounted wing for great ground view, served mainly in courier and anti-submarine roles. Now let's look at bombardment and torpedo. Curtiss NBS-1, short-range bomber used by the Army to test early aerial bombing theories. Famously used in tests that sank captured German battleships, proved planes could sink ships. Now this is the Curtiss B-2 Condor, massive biplane bomber. Last of its kind before monoplanes took over the sky. Giant that carried a heavy payload for its day. Curtiss CS, designed to be a jack-of-all-trades for the Navy. Could be scout, torpedo bomber, or regular bomber. Used interchangeable wheels or floats. The next one, Curtiss SBC Helldiver, last combat biplane produced for the United States Navy. Rugged dive bomber that saw service right up to the start of the war. Tough old bird. The next one, Curtiss SB-2C Helldiver, powerful dive bomber replacing the SBD Dauntless. Difficult to handle and nicknamed the Beast by its crews, despite flaws, helped win the Pacific War. Next, Curtiss XBTC, experimental torpedo bomber designed to carry a massive load. Featured very powerful engine and contra-rotating propellers, victim of the shift toward jet power. Continuing with military logistics. Curtiss C-1 Canada, large twin-engine plane designed for the British during World War I. Intended for long-range bombing missions, massive undertaking for its time. Curtiss C-30 Condor, military version of a popular airliner. Used as a transport and even as a bomber, known for remarkably quiet and comfortable cabin. Curtiss C-46 Commando. Massive transport. Workhorse of the hump missions over the Himalayas. Could carry more cargo than the C-47. Powerful and reliable giant. Next, Curtiss C-76 Caravan. Transport built almost entirely of wood to save on strategic metals. Proved difficult to build and wasn't very durable. Interesting wartime manufacturing experiment. Next on the list is Instructional and Training. Curtiss JN-4 Jenny. One of the most famous aircraft of all time. Trained thousands of pilots during the Great War. After the war, became the star of the barnstorming era. Curtiss Twin JN. Twin-engine version of the famous Jenny. Designed for more power and better reliability, saw limited use as a scout and specialized trainer. Curtiss Fledgling. Sturdy biplane trainer built for the Navy. Designed to be easy to fly and very forgiving for students. Helped a generation earn their wings. Curtiss AT-9 Jeep. Twin-engine trainer, notoriously difficult to fly. That was on purpose, designed to prepare pilots for the high-performance bombers and fighters they'd use in combat. Curtiss SNC-1 Falcon. Sleek, all-metal trainer used by the Navy. Fast and looked like a modern fighter of the era. Gave student pilots a taste of what the front line was like. Continuing with maritime patrol and floatplanes. Curtiss Model H-16. Large flying boat used for long-range patrols. Helped protect convoys from submarines during World War I. Massive and impressive machine. Then, Curtiss HS-2L. Single-engine flying boat. Common sight during the Great War. Used for coastal patrols and anti-submarine work. Stayed in service for many years after. Felixstowe F5L. British design, built under license by Curtiss. One of the best patrol boats of its time. Combined sturdy hull with great range and lifting power. Curtiss NC-4. Legendary flying boat. First aircraft to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. Massive achievement of planning and endurance. Proved long-distance air travel was possible. Curtiss MF, known as the modern F. This was a refined version of an earlier flying boat. Used as a trainer and for sport flying. Very successful and popular design. Curtiss GS. Small scout plane designed for use on ships. Could be launched by a catapult. One of the first steps toward modern ship-based aviation. Curtiss HA. Fast, heavy-duty seaplane fighter. Featured a massive engine and very distinctive look. Built to hunt down enemy bombers over the water. Curtiss SOC Seagull. Biplane scout. Familiar sight on the decks of battleships. Used a large central float and was launched by catapult. Served faithfully throughout World War II. Curtiss SO3C Seamew. Intended to replace the Seagull, but was never as popular. Plagued by engine problems and poor stability, eventually saw service with both British and Americans. Curtiss SC Seahawk. Ultimate catapult launched scout. Fast, sleek, and could even carry a small bomb load. Finest aircraft of its type ever built. Next on the list is high-speed research. Curtiss R2C. Land-based racer built for the Pulitzer Trophy. Set several world speed records. Sleek and dangerous machine, helping develop high-speed aerodynamics. Curtiss R3C. Versatile racer that could be fitted with wheels or floats. Won both land and water-based speed races. Pinnacle of racing technology in the 20s. Curtiss R6. Fast army racer that set a world speed record. Very streamlined and used a powerful engine. Proved American aircraft could compete with the very best. Now this is the Curtiss 18T Wasp. Triplane fighter, designed to be the fastest plane in the sky. Used a massive engine and set multiple speed and altitude records. True powerhouse of its era. Now this is the Curtiss 18B Hornet, biplane version of the Wasp. Intended to be a heavy fighter for the Army, very fast but only 2 were ever built. Up next, Navy Wright NW2, racing floatplane built for speed. Featured very compact design and powerful engine, example of the intense competition between manufacturers in the early days. Wright F2W, high-performance fighter built for the Navy, very fast and maneuverable, lost out in competition but showed the Wright company still had creative fire. And our last category is VTOL and drones. Curtiss-Wright CW24, experimental plane used to test the flying wing design. Small and strange craft helping engineers understand new ways to fly, paved the way for the later Ascender. Curtiss-Wright X-19, experimental vertical takeoff and landing craft. Used 4 tilting propellers on the ends of its wings. Complex and ambitious attempt at a new kind of flight. Now this is the Curtiss-Wright X-100. Small experimental craft used to test the concept of tilting propellers. Paved the way for larger vertical takeoff designs. Tiny pioneer of the early jet age. Curtiss-Wright VZ-7. Flying jeep designed for the Army. Used 4 protected rotors to lift off the ground. Odd-looking machine exploring aerial mobility for soldiers. Curtiss KD-2C Skeet. Jet-powered target drone. Used to help gunners practice their aim against high-speed targets. Vital tool for training in the early Cold War.